Do not give what is sacred to dogs, and do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them over and turn and tear you to pieces. What on earth does that phrase mean? Sometimes Jesus said some things that were so strange and hard to understand, especially if we just take this verse by itself. Who are the pigs? What are the dogs? What does it mean that they're going to trample over the pearls and turn and tear you to pieces and attack you? Well, the best way to understand what Jesus is trying to say is to look at what's before and after. Look at the context. If you're having a hard time understanding what Jesus is saying, look at the immediate context, and there you will find the answer. So let's do that today. We're going to start by looking at what is before this phrase, and then next week we're going to look at what Jesus said afterwards. Let's look at what Jesus said. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Really, there are two lessons in this passage. Jesus is saying, don't be someone who judges. Don't judge people. Why? Because the way you judge people, you are going to be judged. And I think this can kind of be taken two ways. Specifically speaking, Jesus is talking about how God is going to judge you. If we judge people with a strict, hypocritical judgment and pick apart all their flaws and give them no grace, God's going to do the same. He's not going to give us grace. He's going to pick apart every little thing that's in us. But also we see that in society, don't we? That's a true life lesson there. If you're a person who's always picking at others and tearing others apart, sooner or later people are going to do the same to you. We see that in social media and culture all the time. People like to fight. And if you're a person that likes to be a church police or a social media police officer, where you're going around, you're scouring the internet and you're trying to figure out who's doing something wrong all the time, and then you lash out and you attack any little thing that you see is wrong in their life, people are going to do the same to you. But the point that Jesus is trying to make is, if you do that, there is something bigger and even worse in your own life. It's that pride and arrogance that thinks that you have what it takes to tear apart other people and judge people. When you have this plank in your eye, the attitude of pride and arrogance, take care of that first, and then you can help your brother see clearer. You see, there's a big difference between judging and helping someone. Jesus calls us to help our brothers see clearer, help our sisters see clearer. Sure, help them with the speck in their eye, but don't judge. Don't judge with the hypocritical judgment where you find that you're the only one with all the answers and you've got to go help people or change people and make them right. Don't be that. Don't be a judge. Jesus is telling us, do not judge. It reminds me of what happened when I was a young kid. I've used this story several times when we're talking about judgment. I remember when I was a kid, fairly young, probably about 8 or 9 or so, and there was this family that we did a lot of things with, and they had a boy that was about my age, a few years younger, and we got along quite a bit. We would do a lot of things together. But I remember one time we were at our house and we were about to have a meal, so we gathered together as families and we said a prayer, and then after the prayer he came up to me and said, I saw that you weren't closing your eyes in the prayer. And then I turned and asked him, well, how did you see me? Did you have your eyes open as well? And he tried to make some kind of excuse. But that's silly, and that's something that children do all the time. They look around to see and make sure that everyone else is paying attention during the prayer, but when they themselves are doing the exact same thing. They're too busy looking at other people to realize the flaws in their own life. And that's what adults do all the time too. We're full of a culture that thinks that everyone else has a problem except for me. Jesus is saying, don't do that. Love people, help people, yes, but don't judge. Because with that judgment, you are going to be judged in this life, but also by our Creator, the one and only judge. I have no right to judge, but if I look into my life and try to fix it and help people along the way, then I can help people see clearer once I have taken care of the garbage in my own life as well. That's the first lesson here. Don't judge. Don't judge people. Take care of your own life. Don't be a busybody. Don't be that church or social media police. Take care of yourself, and then you can take care of your brother or sister. But number two, which brings us to our first phrase, dogs, pigs, trampling the pearls. What on earth is he talking about? Who are the dogs and pigs? Well, according to this text, you probably already know the answer. Those people who love to judge, those social media, those church police, the friend police, who are always nitpicking at every little detail in your life. Don't hang around those people. So he kind of turns it here. He kind of turns his attention from telling you to not do something and to not hang around certain people. Don't hang around those pigs. Don't hang around those dogs, those people who are always complaining about others, who are always finding faults in other people. Don't do that. Don't give them the pearl of your friendship. Why? Because they're going to trample over it. Guess what? They're going to tear apart you as well. They're going to nitpick at every little thing that you are doing, and they're going to demoralize you and hurt you in several ways. But not just that. What happens when you hang around pigs? Sooner or later, you're going to smell like a pig. You can be torn down to their level, and you can become like them. You know, being a busybody and someone who finds faults in people all the time and tries to attack people, that can actually become an addictive lifestyle if you hang around those people all the time. Don't go down to a dog or a pig's level, because they're going to tear you down in more ways than you realize. So who are the pigs? Who are the dogs? It's the people who love to judge and never think about self, who never think about making their life right with God as well. Those are our lessons here. Don't judge. Don't be that guy. But don't hang around those people either, because they will tear you apart. Don't hang around the pigs. Don't hang around the dogs. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Jesus Said. Come back next week as we look at what happens after this phrase, after Jesus talks about these dogs and these pigs, and we learn more about what that actually means. Come back next week as we listen to more of what Jesus said.